Hello, I'm Donna Keith, and today we are going to be talking about self-esteem, but in particular we're going to be focusing on self-control. So when we're talking about the development of self-esteem with children, there's many subcategories to self-esteem. There's self-worth, there's self-identity, there's of course self-esteem, self-image. So all of those self-words make up self-esteem. In a previous video, we talked about temperament. And we talked about how temperament's really set by the time a child is 1 year old. We've talked about brain development. The majority of the brain is developed by age 3. And now we're going to be focusing on social emotional development and self-esteem. Self-esteem is pretty much set by the time a child is 3 years old. So for those of us that work with very young children, 0 to 3, there is so much development and so much has happened from 0 to 3 years old. And so that just shows the importance of the work that we do every day with these children. So when we talk about self-esteem, that really falls under that social emotional development. When we talked about physical development, we learned that children physically develop head to toe and from inside out. Okay, so head to toe, inside out. With social emotional development, it's just the opposite. Social emotional development, it happens from outside in. But with self-esteem falls self-control. And wouldn't it be wonderful if all of your children had good self-control? I think a majority of our behavioral issues in early education is due to a lack of self-control with the children. When children hit, bite, smack, throw toys. They're doing that because they have a lack of self-control. So it just hasn't developed yet. And as teachers, we have to be able to recognize that. And then we also have to teach self-control. So I think it's real important to understand this before we move into disciplining children. So imagine your group of children and you are playing a game. Let's say some teachers call it freeze frame or freeze dance. This is a game where you play music and you tell the children, dance to the music, and when I turn the music off, I want you to stay as still as you can. Another similar game is red light, green light. So you have all the children line up, and maybe you have a red sign, and then you have a green sign. And you explain to the boys and girls, when I hold up the green sign, that means go, you come running towards me. And when I hold up the red sign, I want you to stop, stay really still. So imagine playing one of these games with your children. My toddler teachers out there. Have you ever done a game like this with 2 or 3 year olds, right? Red light, green light with 2 or 3 year olds. It always happens the same way, right? They're at the end of the room, they're up against the wall. You hold up the green sign, they all come running towards you. You hold up the red sign. The idea is they're supposed to stop and stay still, right? And what happens? Yeah, they keep running. They don't stop. Their bodies don't stop. And you even keep saying, stop, it's red, stop. And what do? They keep coming. Same with freeze dance. You got the music playing, they're dancing, you turn the music off, and they keep moving. They keep moving. Okay? That's what you're going to see with 2 and 3 year olds. Now imagine doing that same thing with maybe 4 year olds. Okay? So now 4 year olds, you got the music playing, they're dancing, you turn the music off. This is what you'll sometimes get with a 4.5 year old. They'll stop, but then they do this. I'm not moving, Miss Donna. I'm not moving. And you're like, yes, you are. You're moving your head. You're looking at me. You're blinking. You're moving. So they're doing better than a 2 or 3 year old, but they still can't quite keep their body completely still. That is a sign of lack of self-control. Now, let's play that same game with 5 or 6 year olds, right? So whether it's freeze frame, freeze dance, or whether it's red light, green light, children are lined up against the wall, you hold up the green sign, they come running towards you, you hold up the red sign, and they stop. Those children have self-control. So you can see the difference from a 2 year old to a 5 year old and how that self-control develops. So what I noticed by playing that game or activity is that my children that were able to stop when the music stopped those children have more control of their body. Therefore, typically, they're going to have more control of their emotions. It's those children that will tend to use their words more often. They'll actually use their words rather than just react. What I also noticed in the group was what children continued to move after the music stopped. Now, those children, I'm going to kind of expect that even though they know the words, they still might follow up with that hit. Have you ever noticed that? So toddlers are fighting over a toy. They use no words at all. They just immediately start screaming and hit. Screaming and then falling to the ground crying. Screaming and then reaching over and biting. Okay. Then at around 3, you start teaching them the words. Tell them you don't like that. Tell them you want the toy back. You're trying to encourage the child to speak, talk about their emotions, rather than using their body. So this is typically what you'll get. All of a sudden, around 3, 3.5, maybe even some young 4s, they'll start using those words that you've taught them, which is great, right? All of a sudden, they're saying, I don't like that. I want my toy back. And then they still hit. You're like, what? He's hitting. But I look at that as an accomplishment because they use their words